This is Space Cat's Peace Turtles, the unofficial podcast for Fantasy Flight's Twilight Imperium.
Episode 50, Being Salty.
Music by Ben Prunty, featuring Matt Martins and Hunter Donaldson.
Well, hello, all of you patient people. It's just Matt to start things off because I am alone. I'm alone in Arkansas. Hunter did me the great service this week of taking the reins a little bit on this week's episode, but I'm just recording a little bit to get us into it. We're going to talk about getting salty, which for those who don't know the new hip lingo, that's just the new term for getting mad. And we were going to have some conversations with friends about what it's like to get mad in Twilight Imperium and why Twilight Imperium is deserving of being mad and my history with getting mad in games in general maybe and just all the crazy things that happen when you play a game for 8 hours and you get to know people really well and then you decide that you don't like sitting with those people anymore because they did a horrible thing to your war son. So that's what today's episode is going to be about. What's Matt been up to? Matt's been homeless for the past 4 days. 3 of those days were on the road. He's fine. Everything's fine. I'm in Arkansas now, though, and this is what it sounds like to be in Arkansas, I guess, or at least temporarily. We just got a place. We're getting settled, so things going forward should be pretty easy going. No more late episodes. It was just this 1 week. I was gone. I was busy. Had my whole life uprooted and then rerouted, and then it's like I'm an arborec. I'm just all this uprooting and derooting, and I'm just using stupid words now. Who the uprooters? The uprooters, the Baron Letnev. I'm completely incapable of doing this by myself. That's why Hunter is supposed to be here, and now he's not here, and I don't want to. I'm gonna cut to the episode. What do you guys think? We recorded 2 separate things. Before I left Portland, we got to record with our dear friend Laura, who plays with us often in Portland. You've seen her on streams and whatnot. We got to talk to her a little bit. We wanted to talk to more people, but we just ran out of time. And then Hunter sat down online with some of our other friends who we've been playing with for years, the people that have been on the show numerous times before. So I'm just going to cut straight into both of those and, let you have the run of it. I also don't think we're doing errata again this week, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry that we keep not doing errata. I know you want your errata read for Tech Paths Part 3. That will be in next week's episode. It will be, I guarantee it, because I'll have time to even think about it. And that's not what I've had for the past 2 weeks. So I apologize, but don't worry, the show is going to get regular again. Let's also mention that next week is going to be an episode for our Galactic Council to vote on. Every month, or at least we're going to try to do every month, the Galactic Council will vote on the topic of an episode. There's a lot of good contenders. If you want to be a part of the Galactic Council, it's just a Galactic Council member, a Galactic Counselor in our Patreon, and that gives you access to voting. We're going to be closing the votes here in just a couple days, so this is like your last chance to get it in before the Galactic Council episode comes out for the October Galactic episode. So look forward to that, and I'm gonna jump into the rest of the stuff, and then maybe I'll see you afterwards for some rundown. I don't know. We'll see how I feel. Laura, tell me about the worst you've ever been in Twilight Imperium. Just the worst you ever got.
How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing excellent. Thank you so much for asking, Hunter. Why can't you be nice like Hunter, Matt?
I don't have it in me.
You're supposed to warm up the interviewer. We're going to teach you how to do that.
No. I like to
just pull out your phone and launch right into the...
That's what I did,
what you did with
Corey. That's exactly what I did with Corey.
And I was sitting there being like, we just really got to teach this boy.
We had 45 minutes. We had to get... And right now we have 15 minutes. You're already wasting time. Laura, tell me about the worst game of TI you ever had.
So I think the maddest I've ever been at Twilight Imperium was... It was, I think, my 3rd or 4th game on Tabletop Simulator.
Already
and
a horrible
10th
start.
Oh, yeah. No. TTS is not... It's great, and it's also horrible.
We can't wait to do it for the tournament, but also it's a horrible platform to play.
Hive.
So I was playing on TTS, and I was playing with only one person I knew, and I'd only played one other game with him before, and We were on 9 points. It was still action phase, and I was the Yin Brotherhood with, God forbid, still a fleet. I actually had a fleet, and it was the last turn of the game. And I was like, okay, wow. And I had Destroy Their Greatest Ship in hand, and I looked, and I saw that I think it was Prunty, I don't remember exactly, had their flagship on the board, and I was like, I can win this game right here, even though I have a public objective, like, scored and ready to score. But I can win this game right here. So I went and I moved my fleet, and I lost that fight because it's Barony. I'm like,
Right.
shoot. And then
I was about to say, you should know, especially if the most recent...
I mean, I do now.
Yeah.
And then someone, I forget, it was probably Barony, I don't remember exactly, came up and scored a public and a secret objective to snatch the game before I scored. So I ended the game with 9 points. And, like, that's bad. Losing the game to an initiative, that's bad.
Right.
But I also remembered that later, Shard of the Throne was on the table, and Ghosts had it, and it was an undefended one cruiser with a with one ground force on the planet beneath it, and I just forgot that Shard of the Throne was on the table. So I could have won the game in 2 different ways in action phase, and I tunneled on the one that I had in my hand rather than the one that was actually easy. And I think that was the most tilted I've ever been after a game of Twilight Imperium.
What is it like when you're salty? What do you do? Like what? What are your
salt?
Yeah.
What's Ian? Is it a kosher? What's Laura's salt?
It's definitely pink crystal. No, it's I went outside and I took one of my roommate's stuffed animals and I threw it on the roof.
Wow.
And my roof is really easy to get to, so I actually just like went and got the stuffed animal and put them back, and like, it's okay. But like, it's one of the saltiest I've ever been, and it was not great, but I don't really have too many destructive tendencies.
Just for the visual, what stuffed animal is this? Are we talking like a Garfield or
it was actually
Big
an
Tweety?
octopus.
Oh my God.
Well, he deserved it then.
Yeah.
So what I love about this variety of salt is the fact that it is kind of it's a 2-pronged attack. One was your own undoing of forgetting the thing in front of you, and the other was the worst way to lose in Twilight Imperium, which is by initiative order, which feels it. So in one way, it felt like the game mechanics robbed you of a win until you then saw that you also kind of robbed yourself.
Really messed up. I also really messed up. Yeah. No, it was just right there.
Also, we're recording outside in case anyone's...
No, we're just near a train yard.
We're just a couple of Hobokens here on the train tracks.
Laura, you've been in games before with me and Matt where we have gotten very salty, and how does that make you feel? And a lot of this stuff is public record because that's 2 streams now that are out there. I don't know how salty we were in the first stream.
No, the first stream was pretty calm, all things considered. The second stream, when Matt started hitting his head on the table and when he threw the die across the room, you can see on stream I actually just totally like freeze up and don't move at all for like a minute and a half. I just didn't move. I had my phone just sitting open in my hand, open to my like notes for plans of what to do with the game, and I was just sitting there doing nothing, and I was just, jeez. Yeah, when other people get really upset, I just tend to freeze up because like I've been there, but also like I can't say anything because they aren't my emotions to deal with.
Not my moment.
It's absolutely not. So I just try not to say anything.
I feel like I need this because I need my own vindication because I got a lot of flack on the subreddit. Was it okay that I did that? Laura, do you forgive me? Laura, do you forgive me for messing up all your units? I'm sorry. Laura, I'm sorry. I wanted it to be a very funny thing, and I have a superpower, which is that the front of my forehead is like a piece of
adamantium. My brain is so tiny it doesn't reach the front of my skull, and so I like to bang my head on things.
I mean,
Do you?
a couple weeks ago, someone else got salty when we were playing one of my board games, and they accidentally spilled wine all over it. So you're good.
That's worse. Yeah, that's worse. Mine, I cleaned
good.
up my own mistake. Actually, I've meant to go back and double check that stream because like I've definitely seen it where I see all of specifically your units just go everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
And I
No,
want to double
it's-
check. I need to like take a before and after snapshot and make sure we put them all back in the right spot.
I counted.
Good. Good. I'm glad you did because I didn't.
I got a new stream policy. We need to have a surface near you that is dedicated just to head desk because I love head desk, by the way. I mean, you can watch how much I love it in the stream. I literally
You
just
become a
jump.
dumb child.
I'm so happy every time Matt head desks. That's why I'm glad we don't, but for some reason we don't end up being neighbors too often. But I'm glad because I feel like there is a part of me
You get
in
robbed
Twilight
of
Imperium.
the full view of the head desk.
Well, there's that, but there's also like I feel like I might just go for the head desk, you know,
Oh,
like
God,
shoot for the
yeah.
head desk.
no,
Like,
that makes sense.
I do not
Yeah, I don't blame
condone
you.
other people to do not try this at home, folks. The head desk is for trained
head desk is
professionals
just-
only.
I want to start. And you guys already know what we're talking about because I've already thrown that out there. And let's just go right into it. Alex, you say, but I've got, well, here with me, I've got Connor.
Present.
Yeah. I've got Alex.
Present.
Yeah. Well, you don't all have to do that. Sean. What do you
it's
say?
me?
Yeah, Sean. Yeah. All right. And EJ.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And we're gonna start with Alex. You say you have this is just some real stuff happening in real time right now. Alex, you say you have some beef with Connor that you need to resolve before we record the episode proper. So what's up?
Well, can I also
Okay.
first stipulate that me and Alex haven't talked one-on-one in almost 2 years?
Good.
All right, let's talk.
Okay, so as I'm sure Connor is aware, there was an incident several years ago involving a game of Risk and a dinosaur.
But we were children.
Connor,
Now,
Connor.
after we discovered Twilight Imperium, we were playing a lot, and there was a period. There was one game in particular. I don't remember what happened. I don't remember the specific chain of events that occurred. But whatever Connor did made me so upset that I was seriously considering just moving out of the house that we were living in. No, I wasn't thinking about moving out, but I was very, very angry. I didn't talk to Connor for like several days after this game of Twilight Imperium.
Do you remember at all what happened?
I
what?
have absolutely no recollection. Probably something along the lines of it not appearing to me that however he was agitating me was in his path to victory or something.
So Connor, do you
Yeah.
feel like you and Alex had a lot of like run-ins like that?
Well,
Like,
sure. I've been thinking because you proposed like this concept to all of us earlier, and like I've been thinking about like how I play games and kind of how I live my life, and I guess what I hear back like as far as feedback, like I know I've been referred to as petty to end quote from
Yeah.
the podcast.
yeah.
But what I don't understand is when I'm playing the game, why other people aren't just letting me win. And it gets, and I also from you specifically, I get yelled at about why I'm not communicating with other people, and I just don't understand why I have to.
Hunter, I would like to take this time to step in.
And so I
as a third party.
am now, and like after meditating, I realized that I might be a little bit of an instigator because I'm just not talking to anybody and I'm making like big swings.
Right.
So it's a little bit of terrorism, but from my perspective, it's just like trying to play the game and just trying to stir the pot. And then if someone crosses me, my sense of justice has to be balanced. And
Yeah.
often, I would say Alex would do something I would find amoral.
Amoral.
Yeah.
Like he would do things that you would consider unethical in this game about plastic and cardboard.
Yeah, no, well, in my worldview of I win or and such, Connor wins. anything that Alex and or anybody else would do that would prevent Connor from winning is amoral to me, or unethical.
Wow, that's hard. That's delusional.
Well, it's consistent.
Yeah, I will give it that. It is consistent. Alex, what do you feel like your kind of equivalent of this is? Like, how do you react when somebody does something that you don't want them to do in a game of Twilight Imperium? Like, do you consider it amoral? Like, is there some sort of narcissistic, like?
Are you implying that I was narcissistic?
No,
Wow.
maybe with maybe in the context of a board game,
Okay, sure.
which I think everyone is. Like, you play to win, right?
Sure.
I actually don't like it. I don't like it when people play to not win. So that's like I kind of am with you there.
Sure.
Yeah, I think several years ago when we were playing third edition, I probably would have been a lot more angry when someone did something that got in my way. But nowadays, like, I don't really care. Like, one of the two
cool.
games I've played with Connor, I was playing SAR and he played Reactor Meltdown on my space dock, and it sucked at the time. It really sucked, and I was a little angry. But it's just a game, you know.
Right.
I'm not going to be angry about a game.
Right. You don't really get angry in even when you're in the game itself anymore.
No, not really.
Yeah,
I think I have a good amount of distance.
I do. I mean, I yell, so
Yeah.
I clearly do, and Matt clearly does because he had deaths.
With Matt, does that carry over? Does that carry over when the game's done?
No. The second the game's over, it's over, and there's
Yeah.
it's done. There's none of that left, with the exception of maybe the holiday game.
He was so mad.
Yeah, that was.
I fucked up.
You were confused by the legal text. That's fine.
I got excited.
Yeah, but I think even in that case, we were just doing that because we were filming it. So we were like, yeah, let's stay in that energy and actually try and do something with it.
I feel like when I play games and like it's like an acting exercise, or like when I'm doing scenes, it's like you're in it, and then as soon as it's over, it's just you drop it. It's
Right.
a different reality.
You leave it on the court.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You're basically like LeBron James, and I'm basically like Kyrie Irving.
But so you don't feel like you instigate, like, really? Like,
Do I feel like I instigate?
yeah. Because I feel like you're an instigator.
I don't feel like I'm an intentional instigator. I feel like everything I do is reactionary, though.
Yeah.
I don't ever. My partner just came into the room, looked me in the eyes, and said, "Don't lie," and then exited. But I don't intentionally instigate. Sometimes I get bored and I'll do something to see what happens, but I'm not trying to like stir stuff
Right. You're just trying to play to win for yourself and...
and keep me entertained.
Right.
And
Right,
everyone else
Can I
okay.
add to this about Connor's character?
Wait, what?
Can I add to this about
Yeah,
Connor's character?
yeah. Throw some in.
I think the comparison to an acting exercise is helpful. I think Connor is a very smart person that is very good at playing dumb.
Mm-hmm.
So in the moment, Connor will act like there's no reason for his actions, and that it's pure instigation, but actually underneath it there's a method.
Right. Yeah. He's doing what he wants to do, but he's doing it like, oh, I'm just bumbling around. I don't know what I'm doing at all.
I'm just Mr. Magoo.
Right. Yeah, you're trying to Mr. Magoo Twilight Imperium.
It's similar to Matt's method of acting like everything is an offense against his very being.
Right. I feel like I do that a little bit too. It's just like a good strategy to like let the table know that if you do anything to me, I'm gonna make a big stink about it. Basically,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You
don't
it's almost
your stuff.
right. Don't touch my stuff. It's my stuff.
Your
And-
stuff don't stink.
Yeah, my stuff don't stink, and you can't touch it. It's mine.
Yeah, it's your stuff.
EJ, how do you feel? Are you? Do you feel like you're much? I feel like you're not really much of an instigator, and that actually you might be the calmest person to play Twilight Imperium with.
Sure.
Like,
It didn't used to be the case. I would say, back when we were playing Risk, I wanted to go back to me being a third party to Alex and Connor's saga because I've probably played more games with them combined than anybody else. So I think they don't realize how similar they are sometimes, and I think that Connor, though he's a little bit more chaotic than Alex, who's a little bit more methodical. Really, in the end, it's kind of strange how a lot of times the same decision would get made by both guys in the same situation. So I think that's something to really ponder. Me personally,
God works in mysterious ways.
Me personally, God works in mysterious ways.
yeah. All right. All right, God, Connor.
Anyway, Connor's God complex aside, me personally, I've learned to be a lot more level-headed, even though I didn't always used to be. I definitely, there are games that there's a certain type of game that can be played with me that will make me mad, but I refuse to say that to you guys in terms of just to protect myself for the future of getting under my skin. I don't like to be.
Are you talking about Madden or are you talking about Rocket League?
No, I'm talking about Avalon and games of that ilk. Games
I've seen
social
you leave.
deduction.
I've seen you leave. Yeah.
Yeah, social
Wait,
deduction.
You've left a game of Avalon?
Yeah.
He got up and yelled. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, why?
I get it. Were you being accused? What was the situation?
Wait, yeah. What was it? What happened?
Because social deduction games are more personal than like Twilight Imperium. Twilight Imperium, you can it's a space opera. You can take on the persona of the race you're playing. In a game like Avalon, it's you. You are convincing people that you are truthful. Or that you are, and being somebody who takes those kinds of things to heart a lot. I've had to learn to really understand that that's a game and I need to be less, of a jerk about it. But I'm definitely somebody who doesn't like to be called a liar, and I'm not somebody who likes to call people a liar. So it really is. It's just the fact that I get really salty if somebody's calling me a liar and I'm not lying, and that's just real life. Like I hate being called that. So games like that, there would be a certain style I think you could play in Twilight Imperium if you were attacking my character in any way. I think that's the only way I would become salty. But outside of that, I just felt like one game, Connor got up and he cut me off from the group. Connor stood up at the table. No, Connor, I'm mad about this still. He stood up.
Yeah, I can hear it.
Connor stood up at the table.
I remember this vividly too.
He stood up at the table and he cut me out of the conversation. Literally, he stood up, put his hand in front of me to shield what I was saying to everybody. I was trying to plead my case that I was good in a game of Avalon, and he slammed his hand down on the table in front. He didn't really slam it. He just put his hand down in the table in front of me, cut me off from the rest of the group, and I was like, "You got to be, bleeping kidding me, Connor." And I took my card out of my pocket because it's a secret game. I took my card out of my pocket, threw it on the table, and shoved my chair and walked the other way. Just to get out of the room. Yeah,
you were good, and I was lying.
Because I was good, and Connor was lying, and I couldn't take it anymore. We had already played like 5 rounds where Connor had basically manipulated everybody into believing him this entire time, and I'm sitting there like, he's lying, he's been lying, and yet no one seemed to want to believe me. So I took my card out, threw it on the table, and I got up and walked into the other room. I wasn't mad, 15 seconds after that, but I was mad in that moment.
Wow, that's awesome. So many good stories of times that Connor made people upset.
Well, sometimes stuff just hits the fan.
Right.
Stuff gets everywhere with Connor.
Yeah, it just kind of seems like Connor's really full of stuff.
So much stuff.
his business is stuff.
I just like having fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I feel it.
And, I mean, I think I've said this to you guys in person, maybe not on the broadcast because I've never been on the podcast. But I don't really like games that much. I mainly just like hanging out with you guys, and so I don't dislike the games we play. But I'm mainly there just to hang out.
Are you playing a game right now?
No.
Like, when you say something like that, is it part of the game that you're playing that we don't know that we're all playing, or
Not consciously? But like, I'm generally like when I play TI, I like TI and I enjoy it. Yeah. But what I'm doing is I'm hanging out with the boys and just taking it back.
right?
You guys, or Matt touched on something recently. I don't remember which episode it was, but he said like he doesn't understand these people that like only play the one faction that they play in order to win.
Oh yeah.
So when we were playing Twilight Imperium 3rd edition, there was no way that I played every faction, right? Even though we definitely played enough games for me to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So I used to be the kind of player that would just pick Isarl and play to win every time, every single game. And now I have the level of distance where when I play a game, I'm most interested in having fun. And within the confines of that game, I'm going to try to play to win, but I'm more interested in making it a fun experience for me by trying new things than just winning.
Right. I like what you're saying, Alex. I kind of feel like the way I've kind of morphed is pretty similar in that I want every game to be fun and I want to try new things every time. But I also want to win, and sometimes I think when I get really upset in a game, it's because I feel that I'm playing with someone who's impacting my game in a negative way, but not to win themselves. It's just to do something arbitrary or to do something that doesn't really make sense. And the problem is that I'll let that second point doesn't really make sense. I'll let that go pretty far. Like I'll be like, oh, this play just doesn't make sense to me, so it must be bad, basically. That's my problem, personally. And I think that's why I come into conflict with you, Connor, is because I fall for your thing every time. I'm like, oh, it seems like he doesn't know what he's doing. And even if you have a plan underneath it, I don't see that part. And then I try and communicate, and you don't communicate very well in games.
I'm not a good communicator.
I think you're a good communicator. You just don't want to in games, basically.
No, I'm struggling with it in my real life too.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah. I mean, if we're gonna be honest here. I really,
This is a safe space, Connor.
I appreciate what Alex said earlier by saying like that he thinks I'm smart and I play dumb. But like what I was thinking about when you guys were talking was that I feel like sometimes I can be smart with concepts, but socially I really struggle sometimes.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'm trying my best, but I'm just happy that we're talking.
Yeah, this is fun.
This is fun. This is some good stuff.
This is just.
I feel like,
well, yeah. Sorry, go ahead,
like
John.
This is a good point to bring up what happened in the holiday episode with you and me, with you not being able to see what my plan was.
Let's talk about communication a little bit.
That's kind of where I was heading.
Is this the extortion thing?
Yeah. So, like, Sean wanted how many trade goods did you want, Sean?
It's just like 2.
No, it was more than 2. It was like it was like 4. It was like 4.
So okay, maybe it was 4.
You can't. And the way that you phrased it to me was you said that I owe you that. Like you were like, hey, you owe. Just so you know, you owe me. Like I bought something from you.
Well, I think that what it was that we had an agreement that like certain actions would be carried out, or I don't remember exactly.
Yeah.
But
Well, it was something to do with our borders, I think, or it was maybe that I actually wanted to trade with you.
No. This is what it was. It was Sean wasn't attacking you, and he was basically like a Southie lackey lackey saying, "Hey, you owe me attack, so I don't beat you up."
Yeah,
that's what it was.
That is totally what it was.
You owe me 4 trade goods, so I don't beat you up.
Right.
I think
Yeah,
I
well-
started it too, but then you were like, no, I'm not gonna do it, and I was like, all right, it's 4 now.
Yeah, you just doubled down.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it's weird with what Alex was saying before, like that extortion play. It didn't. I think it made it harder for me to win, and obviously I did not win. But nobody really won that game. But
We were all winners.
yeah, we all won. We all won
The
then.
conversation me and Connor had in the car
But it
after
did make
that.
the game more fun. So I don't know. Like it was fun to have you try that, basically.
Yeah, like I will say that like actual emotion of me of feeling like brokering peace was high,
Mm-hmm.
and I was mad that it's like we're trade goods.
I've always liked,
Totally.
Sean, your like when I play with you, I feel like we do generally there will be some sort of conflict that gets heated and salty, but I just always feel like we always find a way out of it or like into something else emotionally. But I like that you are at least willing to get like provoked by it. I think what's really bad is when you have like a salty player and then like nobody else is even gonna go there,
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, when like the salty player like just is like this like weapon that like no one like they'll just like ignore, I guess is like
Right.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden he's just stewing his saltiness and he becomes like they become a non-factor.
yeah.
That's why I like playing games with Sean because when you get into the concept of like why you play board games, is it to win or is it for the experience of like coming together? That's a personal question or decision. But again, mine's to experience, and that's why I like playing with Sean because like there's always something that I won't expect to happen.
Right.
It will be like a very like human, very like I want to do this, so I'm going to do it, and just like that's very human and very interesting to me. I like
Yeah.
that.
I think Sean is human too, right?
Can we verify that, Sean?
EJ, do you have a favorite reason for playing games?
So he's dodging the question.
That's very human, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, EJ, why do you play board games at all? They're stupid, really. They're for children. So.
No, I disagree with that. I think that there's a very good community around board games. I generally identify more with people who play board games than I do people who watch sports, and I watch sports, constantly. So
Yeah, you love sports.
I do, but that's what I'm saying is like I'm kind of like I'm like the
You're
dichotomy
such
of
a
man.
sports guy, dude.
I
Yeah.
know, but like
all
I
your
still
sports stuff.
identify more with my board game friends than I would at a bar with a bunch of other good boys
Some bleep
watching
flags.
sports.
Some-
Anyway, those guys just I don't connect with them on a level like I connect with people who play board games, and I like you guys more than I like people like that. So
Aw,
sweet.
that is sweet.
Can I speak to the saltiest I've ever been in a game
Yes,
of Twilight
yes.
Imperium? I just
Yes.
remembered it. So this was I think my third game of Twilight Imperium for 4th edition. Before I had played 4th edition, I hadn't played in several years. And I was playing with Matt in person. I put a whole game together for him when he visited San Francisco. I was playing Hakan. I was skeptical of playing Hakan because I never really thought of myself as a social player. So Matt gets frustrated when I pick Hakan and decides that he's not going to, quote, let me get away with anything. So so this was pre-swing round.
Sounds right.
When you guys established what a swing round was. Basically, he tried a swing round on like round 2 by cutting into my entire slice and destroying everything I had, and then launching himself to Mechatol. And it didn't work. He ended up not winning. But basically, in the process of him not winning, he destroyed both my entire game and me having fun for 6 hours.
Wow.
Man, where did he learn that?
But basically, I was like pouting. I was
Who raised him?
pouting for 6 hours. It was not fun at all.
Yeah.
I don't look fondly on it. I was very salty. like, you know, I don't have any hard feelings against Matt, but telling it now and thinking back on it, like, that sucked. That really sucked. To just have the whole game destroyed and, like, not be able to really participate at all.
Alex, the time investment that is put into Twilight Imperium is, I think, the biggest reason that this game, that we can talk about saltiness in this game and it be like kind of a real feeling. Like you just mentioned that you just sat around for 6 hours playing a game that you no longer wanted to play after probably 35, 40 minutes. Yeah. So that's...
I think because you have to reinvest in that emotion.
Exactly.
The worst part for me is sitting there knowing I'm not going to have any fun and watching other people have fun at night.
Yeah.
That's when you demand 4 trade goods.
When happiness makes you angry.
That's the whitest thing I've ever heard.
So I finished that game, I think, at 2 victory points. And the entire thing, it was like, well, no one's going to trade with me. Like, I just don't get to interact with anybody. I don't get to claim any points.
Wow.
It was really bad.
What? I'm sorry. You probably said it, but I just didn't quite catch it. What faction was Matt playing?
Oh, he was playing Barony.
Oh, wow.
Actually, so he wanted me to give him 2 trade goods for the Barony thing early in the game, like probably the first round or second round.
Where is he learning this?
I said no. And then he just attacked me.
It's messed up.
Well, also, it's the same situation from the holiday game. Yeah. Except he really just did it. He just went for you.
He just went for me.
Man, it's a shame that Matt couldn't be here for this part of the episode, for this conversation, because I feel like...
Talk to him.
Do what?
I'd like to talk to him about some choices.
You should confront him.
I'm sure in his brain it all looked like a really good plan.
But what if it didn't
at the time?
What if he
Maybe
just wanted her?
saw somebody try that once, and it like went all right for them. Like they were like 7, 8 victory points.
Right. Yeah, maybe he stole it from Sean. We can say it. Let's just say it.
Okay.
Let's just say it.
Yeah.
I think on that topic though, like don't just like completely kneecap somebody if you're playing a game of Twilight Imperium with your friends.
Right.
Well, that's just a general rule on like life too.
And playing games.
Don't unnecessarily be cruel to people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cruel.
Probably look for an alternative route.
This has been life lessons with Connor.
Who do like between me and Matt? Who do you think is saltier, me or Matt?
Matt,
because we're both fairly salty.
Yeah. Matt,
it's like a seething heat where you're like a firework.
Matt,
oh yeah,
Matt. You pop off and say little things, but like then it's like 5 seconds. Like, oh, that was pretty, and then Matt's like this like furnace that's about to explode. And if it explodes, like you're gonna have to leave his house.
Wow, I think that's very accurate.
Thank you.
A boiler room accident.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like with Matt, it's gonna. I don't know. Did any of you see the most recent stream we did where Matt head desk again?
No.
Okay, so I'll get you the time. Yeah, I will get you the timestamp of it, all of you, because I do want you guys to see it. Because we were playing a game, and I don't even remember what happened. Oh, he was getting really bad rolls. Like he got like amazingly bad rolls, like three in a row, and he smacked his head on the table and threw all the pieces went everywhere. And then he threw one of his dice at me. That was the best. And I wasn't even involved. I wasn't even in the con. Like he wasn't fighting me. He just like knew that I was the only one in the room that was acceptable for him to do that to. Right. It's just, and I loved it. I love when Matt explodes. Actually, I think it's hilarious.
It's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like watching like Barry Egan and Punch Drunk Love. It's like when he punches through the glass. It's great.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's funny when people get angry in general, but I do. I do kind of. I don't like sometimes the things that I'll say to people, especially if I don't know them that well. Like I feel like I can say anything to you guys because you guys don't really have a choice.
Right.
You have to keep being my friend regardless.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a sense of shame.
Yeah. So
Right.
I mean, like, but I have been salty to people that I don't know that well, especially since I play Twilight Imperium with a lot of people that I don't really know that well, and it's interesting to notice the difference between like, oh, I could say whatever I want to Connor, and that's generally okay, but this guy I don't know at all, and you know, and I just called him a D bag, you know, a bleep bag, or
Yeah, don't do that.
or I
So you're
said he
talking
was
about using
full of
locker room
stuff.
talk outside of the locker room.
Right.
Yeah.
Locker room talk is for the locker room. I think we've
Yeah.
all learned that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, playing with your friends that you've known a long time is one thing. I've played on TTS. I played a game in person this past week with 4 other people I didn't know beforehand. And I think like establishing a good rapport with people is just generally a good life skill. But also like in that game I was making a lot of mistakes and I was like cursing to myself. I didn't call anyone any names, but if I feel like it appears that I'm being salty, I always try to make a point with a stranger to say like, hey, I'm aware that this is just a game and I'm not actually angry as a person. And
Right.
that typically elicits like, oh yeah, it's just a game, you know.
Right.
We're on the same page.
Right. But it's not just a game, is it? You know? It's 6 hours.
Yeah. You're like living through a part of your life with them. Yeah.
Right. Like it's like
But
it's a chunk.
Very compartmentalized though.
Yeah. But you know, 6 hours of your life you could watch Fellowship of the Ring and get through a decent chunk of the Two Towers.
Great analogy.
That's your
Well,
reference point for time.
Reference
I'm just
point for
saying,
time is Lord of the Rings.
Imagine that you watched Fellowship of the Ring and it was really bad and it made you angry.
How many
And
Hobbit
then-
movies
Honest-
do you watch in that time frame?
No, they're like equivalent length.
Okay.
You watched about
So let's say
4
Fellowship of the Ring is
rom-coms.
making you really upset, and then
Yeah.
you finish it, and then you have to put in the Two Towers after that. Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm
What's the
serious.
alternative?
Why are you upset about Fellowship of the Ring?
What's your stance on the Hobbit trilogy?
It's not good.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
But this isn't a podcast about that. Yeah,
the
Sean.
angriest I think Matt's ever been at me.
Oh, this is
Good.
great. I can't believe I forgot
Yeah.
to get something like this. Go ahead.
I think was during 3rd edition at Alex's old house when we played, and it
This
was
isn't the
me,
8-player game, is it?
Alex, and who else? We formed the coalition.
Oh, wow.
Jack was there, right?
Yeah,
It
it was
me
and Jack.
Yeah,
This coalition had a
and that
name
was
too,
really
right?
just-
Yeah, what was the
Hmm?
name of that coalition?
Yeah.
Can we say
The
that?
Butt Brothers Coalition?
The BBC?
The
BBC.
Butt Brothers Coalition?
Sorry, it's not quite coming here on my side. Can you say it a little bit clearer?
The Butt Brothers Coalition.
Yeah, that's the good stuff.
the BBC.
I think we've talked about that on the podcast, haven't we?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
I think we have.
Yeah, we've gotten that. We've gotten that.
That time, I think that was the angriest Matt's ever, at least during Twilight.
And
What
with good
I don't
reason.
even- I don't remember him. I don't remember how angry he got. Like, I only remember because I was on the other side of it. So I just remember being really, like, upset. But I don't remember, like, was that a fuming Matt situation?
Like a simmering Matt.
Yeah.
Honestly, the Matt and I lived together for a while. Like, we've super saturated the waters with salt. It's
Right.
mostly
Together probably
salt at
too
this
long.
point. I just remember, like, honestly, really, I think for a long time it would just be like, I think in the back of my head I just kept a running tally, and I just make sure Matt didn't win if I was playing. And I would it was like me versus Matt, and everybody else was father. And it was like we ended in a tie if somebody else won.
Yeah, sometimes it's
a
just
draw.
personal, you know?
It's just a draw.
Yeah, it's easy. So like, you winning is a tie. Really,
Right.
everybody other than Matt or me. Matt and me are really we're in a long term.
It's an ongoing war.
Game
Oh,
battle,
that's
and it
great.
involves
Very
every
smooth,
board
bro.
game.
Oh my god.
That's great. That's that. Yeah. All right. That's. We're going out on that. That's the end of it right there.
Hey, wasn't that a hoot and a holler? No, I want to put on record that I don't condone any of the messages told about me or my person or my personality in the last 30 minutes. I don't appreciate being talked about behind my back. I don't like it one bit. I'm going to get you all out of here, but first I want to give you guys the rundown because that's what we do. Please, if you like this show, follow us on Twitter, SpaceCatsPod. If you also like getting game updates and asking us questions, you can go to Facebook, Space Cats Peace Turtles. You can also go to Reddit/r/Twilight Imperium every week for our posts. There's also tons of other posts. Of course, you should hit up all of those and just keep the conversations going, but we post there so that you can keep the discussion going. Another place to discuss episodes is on our Board Game Geek Guild. There are links on the Twilight Imperium subreddit, as well as on our Discord, etc. There's a calendar on Board Game Geek. If you join our Discord, we're doing weekly threads there, so you can talk a little bit more immediate rather than Reddit, kind of these back and forth old days of forums. It feels so archaic now when we can all just have our phones out and talk to each other constantly. Also, email us This Imperium Life and Plays of the Week. We take those submissions in our email, spacecatspieceturtles@gmail.com. We also have a Patreon. We would appreciate it if you contributed to this show, and it helps us put on tournaments, which is what our big goal going forward is tournaments and leagues. But it's also helping us improve the show and keep things going, especially now that Hunter and I are leagues apart. 3 days turns out how long it takes to get to port. I already knew this because I've already done it once, but it's a horrible, terrible, terrible thing to do to your cat. My cat is okay. She actually was a rock star for the entire trip, but boy, would it suck to just sit inside of a tiny box in a 16-foot truck for 3 days. I don't envy her, and I don't envy myself. That was a weird tangent. Let's also have you rate us on your podcast app of choice, but iTunes and Apple Podcasts is a big one that the ratings do a lot for us. We also want to thank some of our patrons. Our Space Kitties, Jimbov V. Jimbov, what did we settle on? We settled on Jimbov. Jotapake, In Mac We Trust, as well as Dustin Doom. Also, I want to thank a few other people. I want to thank John Error. And I want to thank Mike, just Mike, Mike. I want to thank Mike. Thanks, Mike. If your name's Mike and you're one of our patrons, that's who I'm thanking. All right. Sometimes I just want to stay here with you all in this moment, and I don't want to go. But I actually do because I still have an entire house to reorganize and put back together, which is why we're not doing errata. Let's see if I can do a play of the week. You know what? I'm going to just, in the moment, you're going to listen to every last second of me looking up an errata, play of the week, because I don't think we did one last week either. And by gum, you came here for a play of the week. It's the only reason you listen to the end of these ding-dang outros. So let's give you one. Here's a long one. Here's a really long one from Derek Jensen, DS Jensen from our Discord. He's one of the more active users on our Discord, and here I'm gonna just free flow this one. This is gonna be like an impromptu line reading. I don't even remember what this one says. I read it 2 weeks ago. Here we go. It was the final round, and I was fuming as the Necro player began king-making. I was Hakan at 8 points tied with the Isaro player, but the Isaro player had Mechatol and Imperial. During the last status phase, the 10 trade good objective showed up to my delight. Though I only had 8 trade goods, I was sure I could take trade, either that or make 2 trade goods off my many numerous trade agreements. Isaro was primed to win, but I had handed Necro, who was in last place, a free planet from under the L1Z1X fleet via that one agenda colonial redistribution on the condition that he stopped the Isaro from winning. Necro had a large fleet set up to take Mechatol from the Isaro. Imperial could get him a stage 1 objective, but I could get the earlier initiative and secure my victory, as long as all went to plan. But the underhandedness of the Necro seemed to be my undoing. He had taken trade from me and vowed not to give me a single trade good from it. The L1Z1X took technology, and the Jolnar took leadership, but neither were in a winning position. Suddenly, I saw my win.
With production biomes, I could get the trade goods I needed. All I lacked was a green tech specialty planet to stack with Neural Motivator. So I took diplomacy. Julnar did little on their turn, but I flicked out with some cruisers at Tarman. Then went the Necro. I expected him to take Mechatol from the Isarl and fulfill his promise to stop the Isarl from winning. However, he had other plans. He demanded a support for the throne from the Isarl. He was at 6 points, having legged heavily, still without a secret objective scored. The Isarl accepted the deal, which made me furious. The Necro had promised. I was outraged, but he told me to calm down, saying he still had a way to stop him. In one turn, I thought, not likely. The Necro then proceeded to attack the Julnar. In the space combat, he claimed fleet logistics, which I approved of. Maybe he had a plan after all. Then, instead of taking some warfare-based tech during the 2 ground combats, the Necro took spatial conduit cylinder and plasma scoring. Then he made his move. Using spatial conduit cylinder, he activated the system containing the L1Z1 and flagship and his planet via the agenda, and moved his main fleet there instead. I called traitor, but he ignored me and proceeded to scrap the L1Z1 at flagship, which lacked dread support. Once the flagship went down, he scored his secret objective to destroy their greatest ship. I threw up my hands in frustration. The Necro had opted for getting 2 more points for himself rather than honor his deal and keep the Isarl from victory. The Necro had advanced to 8 points, impressive considering his poor game, but inconsequential in the end. The battle ended, and as it did, another secret objective hit the table. Unveil flagship. The Necro, in one turn, had gained himself 3 points. An impressive feat considering his position. He would take 2nd place for his deceit. Then, as he barraged the L1Z1X soldiers off the 2nd planet in the system, a 3rd and final secret objective fell from his hand. Make an example of their world. The Necro fulfilled their promise, preventing the Isarl from winning. I had indeed been watching a king be made. I think that's a great one, especially for this week's episode, because it shows Diaz Jensen was all ready to throw up his hands and get salty, but the play was the play, and the play worked, and the play was the play of the week, and that is where I leave you. Goodbye, and we'll see you with a normal episode, a Galactic Council episode next week, both Hunter and I together, recording at last. That sounds like a ballad I should start singing, but I'm not gonna. I've sung enough. I've sung enough on this dang podcast. I'm leaving. Bye. Thank you for listening to Space Cat's Peace Turtles. And thanks to Ben Prunty for the use of his music. You can find more at benpruntymusic.com and benprunty.bandcamp.com. Pax Magnifica, Bellum Gloriosum.
Laura, what?
We'll cut around it. Yeah, it's fine.
Laura, what? Laura, what would you... Okay, good. Laura,